Okay, I feel like I've got to sing. Is this really working?
Not really, no.
Okay, so this is about Agile in business context. So a lot of you know how Agile's in the field of technology, new product development, that would be, and other points, but it's not really working inside the business context itself. We see Agile teams grow, start performing highly, and then get eaten up by the Goliaths, the people already in the industry, right? In business, the directorships. There's something called the Peter Principle. Does anyone know the Peter Principle? Cool. So the Peter Principle, for those that don't know, is people get elevated to the one level above their level of competency. Let's say the techie who's been in the team for 20 years, the boss leaves, he gets the job. The head sales guy leaves, the best salesman gets the job. Then what happens? Everything collapses, right? Because we are taught through school that to be successful, you have to be a manager or a director. The only problem with that is in a pyramid structure, you can't have everyone at the top, correct? So it's like many years ago, there's a man called Copernicus. Remember Copernicus? No one's that old here, but if you were that old, he had this really weird theory that he had this theory. Of course, that was heresy in those days. And I didn't really like him. Right? Today, we have similar sorts of theories, right? In management, the command and control. That was great building pyramids, but the majority of the educated workforce was not educated, right? So you had to command and control to get things done. But today, most people are educated. Everyone pretty much has, therefore everyone is now an expert. But it doesn't mean that decision taking can be pushed down the organisation, as long as it's something called discipline and numbers, which Generation X forgets about. So in this context, today we have something called budgets, right? How many of you run annual budgets? Hands up, annual budgets or? Yeah? Oh, not anyone. So those of you that don't have annual budgets, what do you have? What's your budget cycle? You don't have budgets. You don't have budgets at all. Good, because that's an Agile team, I seem to know. A few years ago, or many years ago, about 10 years ago, there's a company called Statoil, based out of Norway. It's not a small company. They turn over about $60 billion a year. And Statoil stopped that annual budgeting cycle to something called beyond budgeting. But why? Many of us set annual appraisals, annual budgets, yeah? But then no one actually stops to think and say, can you predict what the company looks like 12 months from now? Can you tell me what the economic, social factors will be 12 months from now? And the majority of people say, no. Yet, they demand annual planning. And then they hold people accountable for annual planning. So why? So it's stupid, really. Because people stop thinking. This is why I like Dave Snowden's challenge today, especially in the Agile community, is we tend to stop thinking. Because someone says do safe, everyone says do safe. Because Ed said jump, everyone says and does jump. But no one stops to question and challenge. Because we're in such a rush. Too many things to handle. So today I'm talking about using Agile in the business context. My approach is to say industrial age strategizing is dead. CEOs need new tools and frameworks to win. So this talk's really about that level of the business. Obviously, thank you very much to our sponsors. Cakes and sweets afterwards. Famous old slide. Every morning in Africa, a gazelle wakes up. It knows it must run faster than the fastest lion, otherwise it gets Eaten, yes. Every morning a lion wakes up, yawns, stretches, looks around and knows it must run faster than the slowest gazelle. Otherwise, it will starve to death. So what does that show? Why have we got that video? Some of you have seen that before, but why is it here today?
Run in the right direction.
We tend to run fast, startups, tech houses, everyone, right? And we don't really look where we're going. And then when we hit the wall, what happens? The competition eats us. So Jim Collins calls this firing bullets. I knew they were going to find that later. Hello.
That's the bit they're recording.
That's the bit they're recording, exactly. Don't ever invite him back. No, so the point here, I really can't do presentations though. I'm Italian, so if I...
Please, yeah, volume, please.
Anyway, the point made is that when we try and plan and set goals and all the rest of it, it gets very, very difficult to actually achieve them. And more often than not, we develop so fast that we don't look where we're going, and then we hit. So we develop products too quickly, we innovate too quickly, we don't do enough checks and balances to validate whether or not it will work. And then you fall to the feet of the lion, the competition. So what's that? That's your wonderful CEO. The point there is, you need tools and frameworks now to stay ahead of the game. Because the market, nothing's really changed. How we do business today is the same in the Roman days, the Phoenician days, all the rest of it. We have technology, but business is still business, no matter what anyone wants to tell you. What we do know is no matter what you are, lion or gazelle, when the sun comes up, you've got to be running. Bob Dylan, one of the greatest poets. The times are a-changing. Chaos is the new standard. So we heard earlier about Dave speaking about chaos theories and all the rest of it. But most people are still trying to manage chaos. Ooh, this is working. The problem with chaos is that you can't really manage it, as he explained earlier, complex systems. But what we do, or can do, is adapt to it. So industrial age strategizing is dead. Why? Why do I say that? Annual planning, right? Annual budgeting. Yeah? All these great, wonderful tools that worked in the industrial age don't work today. How do we know that? In the last 20 years, and this is fact, company life cycles and CEO life cycles have halved. Everyone wants to be a CEO because that's what you're told to do when you're school. But really, do you want to be a CEO? We're going to get echo soon. But the point of a CEO isn't just growing the business, he's looking after families. You know, everyone forgets when you're in the workforce that this man here, or woman, is actually waking up every morning, not just stressing about the world, it's stressing about if he doesn't perform, people will starve. We forget this context, yeah? When we judge the CEO. We shouldn't. The communication needs to be up and down. There are more deaths of businesses than there are new businesses. Everyone loves to say how many new businesses come up in Dubai every day, or in London or Mumbai. But where are the figures that tell you how many have died? Not only that, oops, it's going up and down. It's like this. It's difficult. So once you get to a certain scale, majority of companies fail. Then you get to another scale, and then the majority of companies fail. Why? Because systems, skills, and people need to change, right? To adapt to the next level. It's another interesting, my voice keeps on changing. Rates of return on assets, ROA. Wonderful figure, usually in the domain of finance, needs to come out of finance, educate the people in HR, the people in IT, the people in product development, operations. Everyone needs to get their head around this, because this is pretty depressing statistics. So what's going on? VUCA. How many of you know the term VUCA? Anyone? Cool. So VUCA was coined by the American military when the Berlin Wall fell. That's a long time ago. Right? VUCA is the new reality. It is the new norm of doing business. If we do that, then we won't hear that. Yeah? Yeah. So volatile stands for volatile, like this microphone, uncertain, like this microphone, complex, like my wife, ambiguous. These are the norm of working today. Whether you're dealing with ISIS, whether you're dealing with oil prices, whether you're dealing with Brexit, Trump, black swans. There are more and more black swans coming into the market every time, right? The regularity of it all, the frequency is changing. So although business is exactly the same, how it always was. So volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, we need to get our heads around this, because the one thing that's keeping businesses, CEOs up at night more than anything else, how the heck does one deal with VUCA? You can put systems and constraints around these sorts of things, but these things don't work. Right? Like we heard earlier a couple of times, the more you constrain something, the quicker it is to break through. And when it does break through, like the wall, the sea, masses of disruption happens. Okay. So that's okay. I'll have to move that over. Right. So, industrial age tools and frameworks for strategizing are on the way out. We need to adapt, move towards a new goal. The Agile mindset, I know Dave Snowden's not bring into this part of the discussion, but you need the right mindset to succeed. Right? If you think of culture, company cultures, culture eats strategy for breakfast, old term from the 1950s, not from the modern times. Right? Strong culture beats strategy. Why? Because it allows people to be flexible within an empowered environment. If I come from the same tribe, the others will guess how I will act. We need less bureaucracy, less layers. In 3 or 4 weeks' time, I've been invited to meet one of my hero CEOs, a guy called Salim Basoul from Middleby. He's built a company over 20 years, which owns 85% of the world market. There are 5,500 employees in this company. His one metric is profitability. Profits above all other metrics. Then Agile, we go, ugh. But guess what? Manufacturer, his staff turnover is 2%. You know, find me an Agile company that has that sort of level of happiness and engagement. His profitability is 30%. That's 7% more than Apple. They make fridges, ovens, cookers, these sorts of things. Right? Shocking. And there are 3 layers in his company. Him, his 7 VPs, and everyone else. So a man managing a plant, maybe earning $1 million a year, it's the same level as the janitor. Totally empowered to make the right decisions because they're focused on profit, and they realise profit means happy customers, happy employees. So a lot of the Agile blah, 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 blah. You have to get back to basics. Why does a business exist? To create and keep a customer. And if you do that well, you are profitable. In a book environment means you have to be much more adaptive because things are changing all the time. Some kid in Tibet is probably inventing something that'll put the business out of business tomorrow. So big differences, 20th century, 21st century. As you go through these, they're quite obvious. There are quite a couple of interesting ones. Profit and purpose. Anyone familiar with Daniel Pink? Drive. Yep. Great video. But really he summed up the essence of Agile in that book, although he doesn't say so. But he comes from the IT world, so we know where he's got his facts on. Agility, speed and fluidity. These are the new frameworks we have to deal with. So here's your first question. If you have a piece of paper, try, otherwise in your head. What is your strategy in one sentence? Don't worry, I'm not going to pick on you lot. But could you write down your strategy in one sentence? And if you turn to your neighbour, will you get the same answer? I bet you the answer is no. And if you don't know where you're heading, then there's going to be a lot of waste built into the system. Doesn't matter how many agile tools you want, you'll misaligned in your thinking. Misaligned in your thinking is waste. What about your 12 months? What are your 12-month priorities? Does everyone know in the company? And more importantly, do they know why they're a priority? It's great getting the right priorities, but then if people at the bottom don't understand why, what's the point? Again, you're creating waste. This is where the velocity metric comes in, because it's about eliminating waste, balanced with happiness, balanced with product owners that are quality. Bring them all together, think together, and you can start accelerating. But you need to be doing it at the CEO level. What about your number one priority? What is it? For right now. This will change on the sort of speed of your environment. Einstein. And he was quite a bright man, or so I've been told. But we do this all the time, don't we? Whether it's bringing up children, having the same argument with your wife, with your parents, with your business. It's always there. Beyond budgeting, what we spoke about earlier. Control, incentives. Jim Collins says a nice thing. Pointless giving incentives if you don't have an A-player culture. Because you can never incentivize the wrong person to do the right thing. And the right person is someone that isn't just great at performing, technically. They need to be a culture fit. Why does ISIS get so much done in its war against its competitors? Because its culture is the same. So you don't need the same sort of level of investment, the same sort of level of leadership. They all breathe to the same pulse, therefore they succeed. Ultimately they might not, that doesn't matter. Right? It's when you have culture and frameworks and processes coming together that you can get really through the complexity of life. So it's important that we adapt from this chap here. Otherwise we end up like this chap here. This is the dodo. Steve Denning. Whereas firms with vertical mindsets at the top, like IBM, if they're back in the room.
They're front of the room.
Huh?
They're front of the room.
They're gone. Are struggling and declining revenues with bloody cost-cutting reorganizations. Firms in the horizontal world, and I sort of adapted Steve's comments, like RBBI, young man at the front, Urbanize, who's sticking around the building today, they build smart cities, phenomenal technology. And Kareem, we all love and know, are busy growing and inventing the future. They don't have the constraints and baggage of the past. But it's also happening in the big cities, the big companies. GE, back in 2011, $1 billion in a startup in the healthcare industry. That startup today, all the other healthcare businesses are being put under that startup. It's going full throttle into the whole, their version, which they call Fastworks, of Agile, Lean Startup, and the GE way. Remember, the great thing about General Electric is it does one thing, and one thing only. Leadership. It builds leaders. It doesn't build turbines. They announced recently that it's going to be the 4th biggest software house in the world soon. Right? The Internet of Things, industrial things. I've got a friend of mine who's VP over at Dubai. They've got these very big turbines that run the aluminium smelter, right? Very expensive equipment, very, very expensive techies that run these things. Just recently, they don't need them anymore because AI, back in GE, is now controlling these turbines to be optimized. That's a good thing and a very scary thing for Dubai because control is now with their supplier. It's obviously really bad for the techies themselves, they're out of a job now, they're no longer required. So the speed of change is very fluid and very quick. But it does show you how a big company can go this route. Microsoft's the same. The last 8 years, Microsoft's changed. Right? The man who runs Microsoft today came from the Visual Basic side, didn't he? Right? And that was the whole Scrum side of the business bubbling up. And you can see it. Best computers, I've spent 20 years in IT. Best computer I've ever bought, and the least hassle computer I've ever bought, is this Surface 4. It's phenomenal. It's amazing. So you can see how things are changing, but you need alignment from the top to the bottom and the bottom back to the top. Startup, scale up, to screw up. That's the life cycle. And because the life cycles are half what they were 20 years ago, the chances are you will fail. But is that something wrong with that? Maybe companies need to start thinking differently. About ego, I need my company to last 1 million years. Now, every company I start with working, it's this great big ideal that we're going to be $1 billion company. Well, there are only about 17,000 billion dollar companies in the world. It's really strange to divide. There are about 100 people that are going to have $1 billion companies. Which is quite cool. But I think a bit of reality check needs to come into here, right? So what we're going to talk about today are the tools, which are simple and practical, which have come out of Agile, which came out of total quality management, which came out of God knows what else, but proving to work. But at the moment, in the post-industrial age, we are still in a very adolescent age. So what we call Agile today cannot be there tomorrow, because we're not stable yet. Right? We're still VUCA, and we're definitely VUCA when it comes to these tool sets. Like the horse to the water. You can give people tools to change how they think, but you can't force it on them. This is a nice quote. I don't know if any of you have heard of this guy, Keith McFarland. I'll step back, have a little read. So there's a lot of learning that can come from the software world back into the strategic thinking domain. Because technology moves so fast, and because bureaucracy and people principles and directorships are so slow, it's good to mix them up to get thinking going. Again, I've always found when you have your strategic team, bring someone from the lower levels into this. At first, that tells you how good the strategic team is. If it's like, scum below us, then that tells you a lot about the culture already of your team, right? If that team accepts someone from below into this inner circle, then you're playing a very interesting game. And you're going to get ideas which are going to be very fulfilling. Build it, measure it, learn. Everyone who knows Lean Startup knows this. Jim Collins said the same, 5 bullets and cannonballs, all the same talk. It's always been that way. If you're a chef, right? This is what you do every day. It's what we do when we succeed. The key of this is to think, plan, act. People stop thinking. There's also a limited time, but you need to think faster. Then you need to plan and act. So if you are doing smaller iterations, there's less chance of a big failure. Right? We know that in software development. What about strategic initiatives? You know, if you're going to move into a new market, expand your products into new areas along the value chain, how do you do that? This is just common sense, but sometimes we forget common sense in the excitement of it all, or our commitments to shareholders and stakeholders who are pushing us down a different route. Coming back to more agile principles, this is the human brain when it's on its own. Go and solve a problem. Then you go and do it with your buddies. You light up. Humans are political, social animals. My idea versus your idea. No matter what it is, we're biased towards our own BS, right? And we'll believe it and start arguing against it. Okay, Zappos is having a bit of fun down here at the moment. But it doesn't matter which is which. Why can't you have a hierarchical system in an agile company? If it works for you, why not? You don't have to do it this way because that's the way it is. What you need to do is learn the rules before you break the rules. For me, in Scrum, you first have to become fully fluent in Scrum before you earn the right to say no to velocity, no to this. Otherwise, you're just talking lap, lap, yap. So whatever it is, goes through the process. Jack Welch, some people love him, some people hate him. Doesn't matter. He does say good things, and he was very successful. Strategy is not a lengthy action plan, it's the evolution of a central idea through continuously changing circumstances. The problem with VUCA is it's a lot more faster now. Common sense again. Michael Porter. Strategy is the creation of a unique value proposition. We know that also, written 20 years later by lean startup and Alex Ostenwalder in value proposition design. None of these ideas in Agile are new. The mindset's changed, but there's nothing new in how you approach all of this. We like to pretend it is because it's cool and new, but it's not. This is my favorite. Yeah, that's what happens in the boardrooms of companies a lot of the time. For me, strategy is very simple. You've got your competition over there, their competition and their capabilities. Your capabilities down here, customer needs over there. The red part is where you want to be. Apple does this really well. Apple computer is the same as a PC. The same kit inside it, all the same, right? But they're selling a very different value proposition. Look at me, I'm cool. So there. Whereas Toshiba and Lenovo are saying, blah, 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 technical, technical, technical. Right? Another example is Harley Davidson. They sell from their why. So when you buy a Harley, you're buying freedom. Anyone that's got a Ducati would go, why would you buy a motorcycle that's really loud and doesn't go around corners? That's not a motorcycle. But people that buy Harleys are not buying motorcycles, which allows them to still be independent and differentiate. If you are selling a commodity, you've lost the strategic battle. There is no such thing as a commodity at all. Think about that. You'll be tricked into it, but it's still a lie. Build, measure, learn. So coming back to simple tools, strategy should be on one piece of paper. Right? On the left side is all your big stuff. The bottom part is your balanced scorecard, your numbers, and this side what we call OKRs. Right? It can look like this, nice and messy. The key is, where are you sailing your ship? What is your North Star? Man on the moon, back again in 10 years. 1,000 employees, $1 billion company. Make happiness, I don't know. Have a North Star, so the rest of your company aligns behind your dream. Right? Start building the tribal values. BHAGs, they stretch out. Subway, Italian bloke in New York. Started off because his mate had a shop down the road and had more shops, and he hated his mate. So for him, 32 shops was a BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal, a big North Star. To us, that's not a very big target, but it was when you had nothing. When he opened his first shop, it was going bankrupt. The only reason he opened up the second shop was why? Because he said, well, how the hell will I get to 32 shops? So North Star is there because it forces you to think out of the box. Otherwise you're down here. Especially if you're running 90-day sprints or weekly sprints, you're down here. Or you're focused to a customer. You're forgetting the bigger picture. That's dangerous. Today, 100,000 locations by 2030. Urbanize. If they deliver this, they'll be $1 trillion company. First time I sat with Ben, when we did this exercise, he said, we'll eat Cisco. That's what he wanted to do. And I laughed. But his head was spinning at different rates. These guys here, there are 5 of them, but they won the right to deliver to one of the big hotels chains. I can't remember their name now. Either Four Seasons or something. Globally, there's 6 of them on the energy management side. And that's huge. You're up against $1 billion companies. Beyond that, you need to know your who. Who are you selling to? You don't sell to everyone. You can do, but you need to identify your core customer. We call this finding Frank. Who the hell is Frank? You don't sell to a market, you sell to a human being. The purpose, Mrs. Drucker again, of a business is to keep and create a customer. That's it. If you're not doing that, you're really quite in Lulu land. A local broker, insurance broker. No one needs an insurance broker until the shit hits the fan. So their franks are people that need and understand the point of a grudge buy is when things go wrong. The rest of us hate the whole insurance thing. It's a grudge buy. Identify who the heck Frank is. Make them real. Because then this starts positioning things. Your BHAG positions where you want to be. The Frank makes the human real. I've got a prop here today. Most people have really sexy props. I don't. I have Min. He's one of my Franks. But we're going to talk about him. Every time you have a meeting, use the Amazon empty chair rule. For those who don't know the empty chair rule, remember the empty chair is the chair which is empty because the customer isn't in the room of your software development, of your marketing development, of your strategic planning. How the hell can you do a planning session without the most important person in the room? Even if you can't invite him or her, at least have the chair. How does it help? These guys are venture builders, right? Based out of Mumbai. They have their Frank. They know who it is. They can then build their value proposition or their brand promise to this Frank. And then they offer a state-backed guarantee. That's a big statement. Here, here's $1 million to grow your business. And if I fail to help you grow your business, you don't have to pay me back that $1 million. That's a serious statement, especially in the venture builder market. Find me one other company in India that does that. That means they mean business. So brand promises are the tip of the iceberg. Below it, you build your whole company. But how do you bring that into reality? We know these tools. Yeah, we all know these ones. Business model canvassing. If you don't do them, you will die. Think, plan, act. It's this iterative process, 90-day iterative process. Build it, measure it, learn it. But also your processes, not just your products, it's everything, your people. Metrics, objectives and key results made famous by Intel. Often misused and badly implemented by companies. And the Scrum meeting rhythms. If you measure it, and if you want it, measure it. If you can't measure it, forget it. All too often we claim too much time putting together metrics. Don't measure them if they're too complex. It's a waste of time. Find something else, find a different pulse speed. Right. So this is how the process can work. You don't have to be specialists, you don't need McKinsey's or rest of it. Just sit around the board, draw out a balanced scorecard. Figure out what's lagging and what's leading. Look ahead. Don't drive your car looking in the rear view mirror. They're metrics we tend to use, financial metrics. Okay? Revenue, cash. They're financial metrics, they're very important, but they're pretty useless most of the time because they're about a month or 2 months old. Why on earth would you look at data which is redundant in a VUCA environment? Think deeper, find the right things. Constantly improve. Just because it's done once doesn't mean it doesn't have to change. Only have 12 metrics, that's why they're called KPIs. Otherwise they'd be called PIs. Key for what? Key to get to your BHAG, your North Star. That's why you have a metric. Not to look good, prove that Agile works. Do the SWOT every 90 days, a full SWOT on your company. Because once you've got your metrics, you know the numbers you should be measuring and iteratively improving. So today might be revenue, tomorrow it might be revenue per employee, after that it might move to product profitability. Do your speedboat, draw your boat, it's heading to the North Star. What are the anchors slowing it down? What are the accelerators that will speed it up? Then start creating elements of groupings of this data. Because once you start grouping, you start prioritizing it. The 80-20 rule. This is what Pareto had to say about the 80-20 rule, the man who invented the 80-20 rule. Everyone loves the 80-20 rule, but no one really understands what the hell it's about. But once you start doing this, then you can start setting your objectives and key results in a very, very fluid manner. It's like going into A&E, right? If those people get the wrong priorities and the wrong metrics, what happens to you? So companies should be able to grow constantly. This is why velocity is important, because velocity pushes you to excel constantly. Anyone that thinks you hit a plateau is really a B player. There's no such thing as a plateau. How you measure performance is up to you as an individual company. It could be happiness, it could be money, it could be I don't know what. But you've got to have something which aligns to get everyone moving, and then a culture that aligns turns into reality. Because once you've done your SWOT, then you can start using planning poker, the tool, and how do you prioritize? Prioritization is quick. Is it an elephant, is it a rhino, is it a goat? Yeah, is it 100, using the Fibonacci scale? It's a faster way to prioritize rather than spending weeks. Use this on your budgeting cycle. A new priority comes in, snap it straight in, the bottom of the budget gets dropped out. You don't need change control, board meetings, quick decision, 5 minutes in and out. And then from that prioritization, can you move towards objectives and key results? A good way of doing the key results is don't leave it to the person that owns the objective. If Ed owns the objective of expanding the market into Saudi, don't leave it to him to set the key results, the KPIs. Ask the team, brainstorm it, write them out on post-its, put them up on the board. That way you get challenged in the whole system from day one. As you can see from this example, different people have different coloured post-its. But ultimately, at the end of the planning cycle, the 90-day cycle, what's happened? You have agreed what the priorities are for the business in a collective manner that helps debate. So no one's idea has come out, it's everyone's idea. This is really important because normally it's someone's idea being pushed. Even in Agile teams, it's always bickering in the background, politicizing, all the rest of it. When you do it through this brutal system, it just disappears. Because on the spot, people are thinking key results, challenging each other, putting them up there, and then it's fixed. Right? This gets nicely written. I will do this as measured by, that's the OKR method, right? And when I write, I will create a cash fund of 6 million by June, that's very clear of it. As measured by, bang, 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 definition of done. Strategic level. As John Dewar, the man behind all this, or one of the most famous man, I suppose, behind OKRs. Ideas are precious, but easy. Execution is the hard thing. So even though you might pick the right ideas, they're crap unless they're implemented right. Yeah. So we have meeting rhythms to turn them into reality. But meeting rhythms can be done on software, which is often the preferred way. But tools, 20 years in IT, if not more, IT always fails when you're trying to use IT to change behaviors or hold people accountable. It's not built for that. Right? First, you have to use the process and the human to build a better process. Then you should automate it. This is an old example, Bethlehem Steel, a long time ago. But the main message there was, write down your priorities every day. Circle the number one priority and focus on that. If that priority is linked to a weekly sprint, which is linked to a monthly sprint, which is linked to a quarterly sprint, which is linked to an annual sprint, which is linked to a 3-year, to BHAG, then you have alignment all the way through in the line of sight in your head. And you, as the janitor or the CEO, have a line of sight and you start speaking the same language. You get more things done. That's your typical OKR system, process. They're all available on the web later, I think on SlideShare. We all know how Scrum meetings work. Okay? What am I doing today? What have I done since yesterday? Where am I stuck? But again, the key to a good Scrum at the CEO level is to build a war room, a situation room, call it what you want, a bear room, to use Toyota talk. Nothing new. This church has been doing this for donkey's years. So how do you build a war room? Have a blockage board where people can put up their blockages daily. Have a weekly to-do doing done, which tracks the individual sprints or epics, whatever you want to call them, of the HR department, the IT department, the sales department, or the marketing department, whatever. Down to the KPI trackers and the OKR. So you can build a room, I'll show you the photos now of how it can come together, but then you have a nerve center. If work is visible, things get done. Yeah, these guys, it's a company that sells clothes. They want their BHAG, North Star, is to dress 1 million women by 2026. In their shop, their average franc spends, women, obviously it's a women's shop, $250,000 a year. That's the average spend of their customers. Just think about that for a second. $250,000 a year on clothes. The Scrum Wall is what's happening daily and weekly across their retail outlets. Tracking it, this was taken from your wall, right? But just by looking at it, you can see red, amber, greens. You can see if you're on track or off track. So very quickly, looking at that, you know you've got a hard couple of weeks ahead. Again, when it gets really busy, it gets too busy. But at least like that, you can see what HR is doing, what IT is doing, what the whole company's doing. And other people can enter that room who aren't in the directorship board and see what the hell's really going on. Is that added level of accountability. It's the RBBI. So these guys here do UX. They're probably the best UX company in the Middle East. User experience, right? How have you found the adoption of Scrum in your, because you're using it very differently,
yeah.
Right? Yeah, so just quickly, we're in 5 minutes, but.
Yeah, so we're an agency, a digital agency, and most agencies work on a traditional waterfall methodology. So I think about halfway through last year, we saw an issue where things were not getting done as fast as it should do. We were waiting for one thing to be done, or there's one person doing everything, and that was it. So got talking about Ed, about Scrum, etc. So we said, let's introduce this. So the first thing we introduced it was actually putting proposals together. A typical proposal will take 4 weeks to do. We then got Scrum involved. We created a Scrum team of about 5-6 people, and they were from different levels: juniors, seniors, interns. And what we then realized, we were able to actually do a proposal that took us 4 weeks in 2 weeks. So we would then realize, oh shit, this thing really does work. Let's start adopting it into our projects. So moving forward, like the Scrum boards we have right now, we end up working on 4-week sprints. We have a dedicated team now of 5-6 people within each project. And then as you guys would probably know, we're able to actually deliver things much faster. And most of our projects now, we're able to deliver in half the time than what it was before as well. And the beautiful thing about it is that we're now actually getting our clients involved in this as well. So you can imagine like the government, for example, really, traditional in the way they want to work. And in terms of procurement as well, 25% payment up front, 50% then, and so on. So we now got them thinking like this as well. So we've now educated them that if we work this way, what a project will take 1 year, we're able to deliver this in half the time right now. And I can safely say all our projects right now are actually getting done within 2 to 3 months and earlier as well. So even though we say 4 months, we're able to actually get it done much quicker as well. And a lot of it's got to do is that the client's always involved now. So whereas before we never used to have any of this as well. And then another thing that I think I was telling you about is that when it comes to the huddles we do now, so every 90 days, I get my entire team involved, and we plan what our OKRs for the next 90 days. And what I've seen with the team now as well, there's a sense of ownership. There's a sense of, this is my company now. So now they are helping us grow the company instead of it's just myself and the co-founders. We've got everyone else actually working with us on this as well.
So that's the main thing is, it might be working in your pocket, but you need to push it into other pockets, even down your supply chain. Because don't forget, it's a value chain. And I think when you have functions destroy value chains, because suddenly ego barriers are in the way. So these guys here are a very agile company. They don't even have CEOs, right? There's no CEO, there's no CFO, right? It's a pure agile company. It exists in this part of the world. That's pretty amazing. that's pretty much it. What I'm going to finish off with is a little video, right? Which one of my favourite books at the moment is called Extreme Ownership. And you can do OKRs, you can do all this sort of 90-day cycle time, right? You can involve people from different parts of the business, from your customers, to better design a strategy and execute it. And you can have themes, right? Which bring things into reality, right? Because not everyone can understand what the hell the CEO is talking about. Themes bring things alive. But ultimately, there's one thing that defines the difference between success and non-success. You see this in Scrum. You see this in, if you play musical instruments. You can see it in a marriage, right? If you get married and start having an affair, and the sort of thing starts going wrong, right? So what's really missing is the ability to start speaking, talking the same language. Right? But ultimately, it's about getting everyone to think it's about the customer, everyone to think about it's about profit, but profit isn't a bad thing. If you're profitable, it means you're effective, right? You're efficient. You can share it more. So Middleby, the company I spoke about earlier, they give $10,000 to $20,000 bonus to everyone in their company. They share the profit. Because as an Italian, a mafioso, yeah, we want to reduce the time we manage to do better execution. So we can spend more time in the market. Because greatness is not a function of circumstance. Greatness, it turns out, is largely a matter of conscious choice and discipline. So this last minute, 3-minute video, if that, is just about discipline. It's by a guy who wrote a book called Extreme Ownership. But I think this is the key to success. Scrum, Agile, blah, 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 tools, frameworks, all nonsense if you're not disciplined. Disciplined to lose weight, disciplined in anything.
Discipline is the root of all good qualities. You have to absolutely apply it to things outside of just waking up early. It's everything. It's working out every day and making yourself stronger and faster and more flexible and healthier. Discipline is eating the right foods to fuel your system. It's about disciplining your emotions so you can make good decisions. It's about having the discipline to control your ego so your ego doesn't get out of hand and control you. It's about treating people the way you would want to treat them and doing the tasks that you don't necessarily want to do, but that you know will help your team. It's about facing your fears. It's discipline to face your fears so you can conquer them. And that's what discipline is. Discipline means taking the hard road, the uphill road, to do what's right for yourself and for other people. So often the easy path that calls to us, to be weak for that moment, to break down for that moment, to give in to the desire and the short-term gratification. But the discipline will not allow that. The discipline calls for strength and fortitude and will. You will accept weakness. You won't tolerate another breakdown. The discipline can seem like it's your worst enemy. But the reality is, discipline is your best friend. It will take care of you like nothing else can. And will put you on that path. The path to strength and health and intelligence and happiness. But most important, put you on that path to freedom.
And that's it. That's all I have to say too. So I hope you enjoyed it. And I'm going to pass you over to Mr. Kareem, Mr. Head Post-it Officer of Kareem, who makes it all happen.
Thank you.
Pleasure. We have questions afterwards.
Yeah. Just give me a minute to set up here.
It's all good. It's talking now. So if you've got any questions, you can ask me now, and then I shall try and answer. Anyone? No? Did you agree with what I said? Was it useful? Was it rubbish?
It was a bit too much.
A bit too much? A bit too much?
Yeah.
Okay. In what way?
Like too many ideas, too many.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe next time you can focus a bit more.
Could do. Okay. In which way? What, in the context or the actual application?
I think that the content was really interesting. So you started with ideas of apply agile mindset to business strategy, and then you were like, "Ta-da, agile mindset, that doesn't exist. It's something that is coming from far away in our industry." And then, I don't know, in the middle of the talk, I was kind of lost at some point because you threw a lot of concept. I like a lot the metaphor of the sales. So the fact that you can feel as your team or your own company as a small ship and you have your North Stars on top. So I like that a lot, but then maybe, I don't know, I think it was a little bit too much.
Okay, cool. Shukran. Anyone else?
I would echo what the nice lady is saying. And that's why I wanted actually to revisit the PowerPoint. It was an eye-opener for me, inspiring to be honest. Thank you very much for this. But it's like a flood of information on me. That's why I'm literally planning for this. There's so many ideas that I would use in project management. That's why I would go back and visit the slides.
Yeah.
You said that you have a slideshow, I think.
Yeah, we've got to set them up on, there'll be you're all anyway on the email list, so
Yes.
they'll be shoving everything down on the slide share.
Yes.
I don't know how it will happen, but it will happen in the next week or two. We'll have to collect everything, because obviously the videos won't come through, but we can give you links
Yep.
and everything else.
Thank you.
Cool, no worries. Good. Everything?
Okay.
Okay.
Actually, I had to use my laptop, so I do.
What?